again, this is Sethikus, Boza, BFHAOS, Blue Flame, Healing Arts, and Occult Science. And right now I'm speaking with Sujay. And with this phase, there comes a major warning. Do not proceed until you know what you're getting into, because once the process takes you, it's going to take you. The alchemical rites of initiation. And has everything to do with things in context to your natural ability to be a healer.
Okay.
Now, the alchemical rites of initiation is what you will experience in context to transformation. Healing is number one, and is how we are going to win the war on consciousness. Not running out on a fucking trigger with your fucking trauma and your programming. Fucking A, dude.
It's crazy.
All the fucking stuff that rose to the fucking surface this year. What the fuck, man?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Okay, we all have trauma. We all have things that we dealt with. Okay, so fucking what?
Uh-huh.
The danger, though, with going through the process is that you can get caught in the first phase, man, which is the blackening stage.
Definitely.
Where you are thrown into the fires of the Athanor, I'll say by the higher force, and will experience calcination and putrefaction. And so all of the trauma, all of the fucking stuff that's there within the unconscious, subconscious mind field comes into waking consciousness. Now, it's important to note that when you're going through this process, you have to become the observer of whatever the fuck it is. All of that stuff is not who the fuck you are. You are not your trauma. You are not what the fuck happened to you. Killing that victim mentality needs to fucking happen. And in order to come onto this path, you can have no fear. Mm-hmm. And most people, they're doing everything they can to avoid their fucking pain.
Yeah.
Running out into all the distractions and fucking bullshit, falling into old patterns, old ways of living, old ways of being, when really pain is there to teach you something about yourself. Like, I don't want my pain to be taken away from me. I need my fucking pain. It's there to show me something about myself, but what people don't realize, in order to experience the path of true liberation, you got to face your fucking pain. And what people don't understand about the blackening stage is that the shadow hides behind your pain, trying to convince you that it is you. So once pain is confronted, the shadow knows that its time is short, so it's going to bring all that fucking shit up. You're a loser. You're no good. You're just a piece of shit. You're unlovable. You're unworthy. Mm-hmm. All that fucking crap in terms of fear.
It is just exactly that.
And so recognizing the difference here, fear is a fucking liar. And you've got to go into that shit willingly. Mm-hmm. And I'll send you a video clip that beautifully illustrates what it's like to confront the shadow. I mean, fuck, dude, it's no joke here. But like Jung said, Carl Jung, man will do anything, no matter how absurd, to stop from facing their soul. And see, it's not what we have been conditioned to, or the trauma or the pain that we fear the most. It's who we really are in the face of that. Because this is where people get their false identity. Mm-hmm. So going through this process, the blackening stage, it could feel like you're fucking dying, literally. Hence the warning, man. And more often than not, people could also experience interface with entities, spirits, angels, demons, aliens, all the stuff that people talk about in terms of what's happening on the other side of the fucking veils. But really, if anything is in your trajectory, there's some sort of correspondence there within yourself that is giving it access.
Are our thoughts reflections, basic reflections? Yes. We not only manifest it, but they are. It is.
Right. And that is how powerful the mind is. Again, it's all about your state of fucking mind. Mm-hmm. So it's not anything that is being done to you. You're doing it to yourself.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not talking about things in context to people actually being victimized, because that does happen. The danger to that, to things that have happened in people's lives, is that they end up clinging on to that victim mentality because of fucking trauma, which then gets carried out throughout their fucking lives. And there's a difference here in light of what I'm getting at. And I need to make that very, very clear so that I am not bypassing anything that is actually legitimate. But here is where things can be skewed. And then you want something to fucking blame because you don't want to take responsibility. Playing the fucking victim, pointing the finger, the gnashing of fucking teeth, all that kind of fucking shit. This is how the shadow fucks with people, man. It's a liar. And you can see those projections when they happen. Fuck, man. It's not to say that I haven't done that myself, because the integration of the eternal spirit to blood code, soul code essence is a process. And when you're in the fires, brings all that stuff up.
It's definitely coming up in my life.
And it's to recognize for what it is, and it's also to become the observer of it. It can become very difficult in terms of nerve induction to how our thought and emotion are. Again, pull back and do not allow thought to rule you. Don't allow emotion to rule you.
Right.
You know, it's just a radar, man. It's just letting you know certain things at any given time. People that drop their emotions, man, they're going into the reptilian part of the brain. Fight, flight, or freeze.
Right.
You're not coming from a place of higher cognizance or wisdom. It's just all this shit being amplified in terms whether we negate our survival instinct, because I am a fucking warrior. I'm always going to be a warrior. But in terms of finding that place of peace within ourselves happens within the fulcrum of the circle of the magician. That's that place of true power where you stand in the face of whatever challenges, whatever traumas, whatever issues and problems are coming up in life. And it doesn't have an effect on the current circumstances, on your relationships, knowing the difference. And see, all of that shit is what these motherfuckers feed upon. They count on it on a trigger to get us to turn and devour one another. I don't understand how certain people cannot see what I'm actually talking about here, knowing the difference, bringing the proper knowledge and wisdom to every single situation that arises, and giving it grace, giving it room, giving it a little space so that things can come back into alignment. Now, what the true malevolence do is get people on a fucking trigger. It's a goddamn fucking trigger fest. And if you're triggered out and the other person's triggered out, there's no wisdom in that place. There's no authentic care or love or respect that needs to be cultivated. And this is what these fuckers have been doing right now in light of a lot of things that have happened on my end, and also in light of a lot of things that are happening with many out there. And see, they work to rip the heart to fucking shreds, but we cannot allow that. We cannot allow our hearts, the gates of true intelligence, to be sealed the fuck off in order to bring peace and harmony in the face of infighting, in the face of indifference. This is what my heart core is screaming right now as I'm speaking to you, Sujay. We have more power than that shit. And that's what we don't understand as humans. We are the ones that decide. When you go into the blood codes, let alone soul codes, it's stuff that's there within the blood. And see, again, that is not who you are. It's just there. It doesn't define you, your fucking triggers. That is not what defines us. What defines us is what's there at the fucking core essence. That is the true identity. And that's what needs to be focused on, not all of this other fucking crap that can get triggered out going through the alchemical rites of initiation.
Exactly. I was working at a mental health facility, to keep it short, and I was dealing with teenagers, and I realized through dealing with them, they triggered so many things. And it was a predicament because, you know, you got to be a leader in this career field. They protect the children more than they protect the staff. And the children, when they're like 15 to 18, not mentally, but physically. So long story short, you know, I was attacked a few times. And it came to the point where the kids, them in numbers and their ability to get away with whatever, and me not being able to properly defend myself, and the way that they taught us to restrain was such bullshit. It's a very dangerous situation. So basically there was a series of events that brought me to realizing at the same time in that situation, I have to put that in the context of what you're saying, because training how to fight and all that, I didn't want to engage in physical confrontation with them as much as I could have, you know, take the bull by the horns the way that I normally would do it. You know?
I'm not saying people don't need to be held accountable, because we all do.
Yeah.
But there isn't anything that can't be healed through. There isn't anything that can't be corrected. This is why accountability is so important. If someone's acting a certain way, you call them out.
That's holding grudges just going to hold you back.
Yeah, that's going to poison the fucking well in your own fucking life as an individual. Recognizing the difference of what can come up going through the healing process, it's to know the difference here and give it grace, give it breathing room so that you can continue forward.
Need to be reminded about that.
So the blackening, again, it's the fires. It's the purifying fires, man. Burning up all of this detritus, all of that trauma, all of that pain that needs to be faced.
Right.
Again, most people are doing everything they can to distract themselves from it. And now you know why. Because people don't actually want to fucking heal. And that's one of the main questions I would ask someone. Do you really want to heal?
Right. Yes, I do.
Because if you want to heal, then you're going to have to fucking die and be reborn in a sense,
Right.
in context to the true essence of who you are. But when you cling to Loki's boat, when you allow the trickster to fuck with you, you'll remain in the Shadowlands. And it will become very difficult for the phoenix to rise from the ashes, which is the bird of paradise. There is an axiom. The bird of paradise comes only to an open hand. So if you're clinging on to all of that poison,
Yeah.
identifying with it,
Right.
thinking it is who you are or what's happening to you, it will fucking rule your ass. But if you let go and you allow it to burn the fuck out, that's when the phoenix rises into the whitening stage, which is the peacock stage. Now, this can be a very cathartic process. A lot of people can go into a very deep weeping, and you don't even know why you're fucking crying. But you're going through this release of the pain, release of the trauma, release of all of these things that are holding you back from integrating higher awareness, let alone embodying that in terms of the reddening phase where things are solidified. Now, the ultimate goal of the alchemical rites of initiation is the diamond heart. Another term for this could be the grail, the lapis philosophorum, or the planetary Templar itself. Many terms and semantics that people use. Some people are more scientific, other people are more metaphorical, more poetic. It just depends. But the concepts and the axioms are eternal. This is eternal teaching that I'm sharing with you. And in order to embody the true essence of who we are, we have to take the alchemical rites of initiation willingly. At the same time, once the process takes you, it's going to take you. So you can't, once it's started, run away from that process of being actualized.
Never.
It will fucking haunt you. Best to turn around and deal with whatever issues and problems are happening in life rather than wanting to escape reality.
Absolutely.
Thinking that it's going to be better on the other fucking side. When everything you would have needed at any given moment was right there for you. That's eternity. That's connection to the higher force, man. So that's a little bit about the alchemical rites. Now, next I want to get into the energy system. There's what we term level 2 energy system and level 1. Level 2 energy system is a 3-core chakra system on the 9, on the 12, which is 13. A 3-core. And anytime you're doing energy work, anytime you're doing ritual or whatever, man, always work from the heart center. It's the upper, middle, and lower worlds in context to the Dantian. Shamans knew about this.
Yes, I know the Dantian. I'm familiar with the Dantian.
Okay. So the Dantian is the 3-core.
It's the same as the Kundalini? Or is it different? Completely.
If you're not working with life force energy in an organic way, Kundalini can fucking fry out your fucking system, man. It's why there's Kundalini crisis counselors out there. Now, in terms of the level 1 energy system, this is the 7 chakra system, an energy system that was broken off from the original template in terms of the etheric body. There's a lot of stuff that's happening there within the etheric realm that needs to be addressed. And the etheric body is the makeup of the mental and emotional bodies. You have your physical body, but then you also have the mental and emotional. Think of this as the type of soil that the astropsychological tree is planted in. Now, there's the core of each chakra and the perimeter. The core is the mental body, the upper etheric realm. The perimeter of each chakra is the emotional body, and it's the lower etheric realm. And there are 9 veils within the lower. Now, I'm going to talk about the manipulation of our energy system here in context. Going through the alchemical rites of initiation, the ultimate goal is to integrate back into the 3 core. That's the ultimate goal. And it's very dangerous to go into the chakras here in context, man. That's why you always want to work from the heart. Okay. Because if you do, it's going to snap and pop and break, all these different pings and pangs and pongs and all this different stuff within your fucking body. But say someone goes into the root chakra and they unleash the Kundalini, it rips up your fucking spine, blows out your fucking third eye. You might have a very profound experience, but you're going to fucking fry yourself the fuck out, man. So working with life force energy in terms of connection with the higher force is what I'm talking about, where the gates of true intelligence are open to you. Okay? Always work from the heart center, man. You're going to feel it flux. It's like 2 triangles, one pointing down to the middle of the heart, and then one pointing up from the lower energy centers into the heart. It's like an hourglass. You want to pull up from the lower into the heart center and down from the upper into the heart center.
That's all happening in the heart.
Yeah, exactly. So in terms of the convergence there with the trunk of the astropsychological tree where everything is being processed, this is where it's happening. The trunk is right in the middle of your chest now. Soul spark.
That's what you mean by soul spark. Okay.
Yeah, very first veil in terms of the manipulation. And see, they're targeting the emotional body. The emotion. Emotion is where we get our magic.
By the way, I got confused with the Dantian and the Kundalini. Like, I was trained with the BFHAOS meditation with my grandmaster, but I made my own connection in my head, which was wrong about the Kundalini being the same thing. He did train.
Kundalini is going to release naturally, organically when you work with life force energy. It's not going to rip up your spine and blow out your fucking third eye. Okay. You will have experiences, but it will be organic. You'll have visions, but it will be organic. It won't be this manipulated shit where there are forces trying to ride in on our consciousness and genetics, man. I'm not saying these forces don't exist, because they do. But we have more power than that. And it's to recognize that, because you have your own eternal spirit to work with here in terms of integration, the higher self. And so no matter what you're having interface with, you have to take the position of a sovereign. It has no power over you. That's the attitude that you got to take, even if you're dealing with shit.
Yeah, definitely.
As hard as it can be, no matter what the fuck people are dealing with, this is the attitude. It's a choice that you make. Okay, I'm dealing with stuff, but it doesn't define me.
Right. What you said about the focus, shifting your focus, not allowing others to dictate what your focus is. I remember you saying that really hit home for me. So I've been practicing that recently.
And we have to practice this daily. It's a daily practice. Clearing the mind field, coming into that place of peace and power within the fulcrum, where you're not drawn out on a fucking trigger. Because in terms of spiritual warfare is fucking real.
Yeah, 100%.
So you got to know the difference, man. You got to know the difference on the fucking trigger, because the trigger is there to rule you. Definitely. In place of you ruling yourself from the core. So in terms of the manipulation here, the very first veil of the lower etheric realm is dark sorcery. And their primary weapon is fear. As long as they pull you into that limbic fight, flight, or freeze. You're not coming from a place of true intelligence or higher awareness or proper knowledge and wisdom. We can't allow it to rule our existence.
Right.
In terms of the false ego, false confidence,
right.
False pride.
Mm-hmm.
So targeting the emotional body, especially in terms of nerve induction. Again, going back to how our thought and emotion operates. You got to know how these fuckers work. And there's many different ways that they do it. See it for what it is. Be like, okay, I recognize what's happening. Now, The second veil of the lower etheric realm is the void. The void needs to be sealed off. This is where the dark gods spring forth. And these fuckers can come in the guise of anything, light beings, angels. So in terms of what people are having interface with, do you actually know that that's what it is? Because these fuckers are shapeshifters. Now, I'm not saying the true benevolence don't exist, because they do. You can have interface with them, but they're not allowed to directly interfere. People talk about having guides, but guides are guides for a reason. Where did my guides go? You don't need them anymore.
Yeah, interesting.
I had all these supernatural experiences. Why am I not having? You don't need that anymore.
I see.
It's time for you to actualize and become that.
That's interesting. You say that. It seems like that's what I'm going through right now. The pause, maybe that's what I confused as a plateau.
Yeah, I could feel like that, man. And I get it.
Mm-hmm.
So with things to what I'm saying here, again, there are forces that are trying to break people the fuck out, man. Okay, and I'm not saying that the reptilians, the insectoids, and all that kind of shit don't exist, but the mind is much more powerful than these things. If you cave into the idea that these things have more power over you than you do from your core essence in terms of spiritual fucking warfare, then what do you think the fucking cause and effect of that's going to be?
Destruction.
So again, walking this path, you can have no fear. No fear in the face of whatever the fuck it is, man.
Definitely. Now,
the third veil, that's more of a sound step, but it's to do with our dream states. It's to do with visions where we could experience these things. Now, I don't know about you, but I've seen, UFOs and all this other kind of fucking stuff. I'm not saying that things can't physically manifest, but more often than not, where people are experiencing this shit is in a place of vision and dream states.
I've understood.
So you got to ground. You got to be able to ground in reality. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, you can get raked out, man.
Every now and then, obviously everyone gets nightmares, but they're very, very vivid. Ever since I was little, I would have them. It's some of these recently are kind of like nerve-wracking. The nightmares, they're a little intense, but
Yeah, and again, it's about becoming the observer.
Right.
Okay, why is that happening? It's something that needs to be addressed.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ever go into fear with anything.
No.
Now, if the emotional body's being amplified in terms of a dream state, then yeah, you're getting fucked with. The fourth veil is everything to do with the collective unconscious. Grid works and is where the core wound of humanity resides. And see, this is what we're moving through right now as a collective. That's why the lockdown has exposed itself. Everyone's wearing masks.
Yeah.
And all the masks that people wear
interesting
are
they're putting
being exposed. Everyone's hiding behind this false narrative bullshit. You see the symbolism there?
Yeah, right away.
And it's time for us to rip off the fucking masks.
That's right.
And transcend the fucking lockdown.
That's right.
That's where we are right now. And in terms of the alchemical rites of initiation, specifically, is the experience that we must embrace, not only as individuals, but as a collective. And if we embrace this as individuals and take it to heart, take to fucking heart the things that I'm sharing with you, then we're going to be able to accomplish something that has never happened before since what happened did, getting into the occult histories of mankind. This is what it takes. And I know a lot of people listening right now are going through some major, major things. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it's been pretty on my end either, but to the focus and trajectory of what is beyond all of this. It is our birthright to claim what I am saying here. And no matter what the circumstances are, there is nothing that cannot be healed through. There is nothing that can't be overcome. There is nothing that cannot be reconciled. There is nothing that we have within the capacity of who we are as individuals that are doing the real work to come into alignment. And I might be screaming across the fucking void to many of you out there, but here is where we bridge. Here is where we transcend. Here is where we decide that we are not going to be ruled. Here is where we decide that we're not going to allow vaccination. Here is where we decide to take back the reality field instead of bowing to the consensus trance that keeps you in the shadowlands. And from the core of who I am, with every fiber of my being, I'm asking all of you out there right now that are listening to this to heed these words. Because what's at stake here is more than I can say if things are going to be allowed to continue. We are the ones creating this reality field, not the fucking media, okay? It's all of us that are creating this reality. And it's not to spiritually bypass any of the issues and the problems and the circumstances that anybody out there is dealing with. It's just to recognize the difference and allow wisdom to take its course. And with some of you out there, I could scream till I'm blue in the fucking face. Ultimately, this is about being actualized in context. And on that note, if anybody out there is interested in the mystery school like Sujay was, who hit me up for the full rites initiation, or any of the other services that are on the website, check out blackearthproductions with a z.com and send me an email at blackearthproductions with an s at hotmail.com. I do want to extend my gratitude for everyone that is in support, because just as many of you out there need it, I'm also calling for this as well. We cannot allow our hearts to become dark. We cannot allow our speech to become poisoned. We cannot allow our actions to take course with any of this fucking shit. And with everything that I've gotten into with Sujay in this segment, this is just a general overview of how powerful these arts and sciences actually are for those that embrace them. And no matter what your circumstances are, you can heal to the integration of your eternal spirit, the higher self. I know it because I've experienced it. I continue to experience the ignition, as well as other people out there that are doing the real work. And it does not matter where you are in the process. What matters is the truth of the core essence of who you are. Make that your focus within the eye of the fulcrum, like Icarus towards the sun. Flames of the Imperium set me on fire. reminding me of the ancestors when it comes to ashes and ashes and dust to dust. A sick cycle that needs to end. And where it ends is when we behold the golden feathers of the phoenix rising. Reforged has become my blade, and weight has lifted from my shield. The burning kingdoms rebuilt, the thrones that have been scorched and seared, the tombstone of the fall that was once feared. Behold, the golden feathers of the phoenix rising. Be empowered, be purged. Andoraka Rakta Vendere Veket Via Tanat.